Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the FinTech Hunting Podcast. We have an awesome guest for you today. She's a valuation expert, an industry thought leader, and a leadership guru. Please help me welcome to the show Cindi Harris, owner of Harris Real Estate Valuation and Consulting and founder of People Move Mountains. Cindi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to talk to you. It's been a little bit.
It is great to have you on the show. You have a wealth of knowledge and expertise. So let's dive right into valuations first, and then there's so many topics I want to talk about. But give me kind of a state of the union. Where are things at in today's mortgage market as it relates to valuation?
Well, I think the mortgage market for valuation is kind of tough, right? Just like the rest of the market participants. It's hasn't been easy the last few years. But we have some great changes coming up in the space. The uniform appraisal data set is now being upgraded to what we're coining 3.6. And that will eliminate all of the different form types, and we'll just have one appraisal report, which will be completed in a dynamic way, much different than filling out these different forms from the past. I think it will really streamline things for all of the market participants, and the delivery will be a little different. The delivery will be in a zip file versus some of the ways that it's delivered today. But it will just create a ton of efficiency, and it's going to be a good thing. It'll be a little rough, right, as change is, but right. It will ultimately be a great thing for the industry.
What are some of the key pain points that lenders are dealing with as it relates to valuation? What are some of those challenges, some of those constant headaches that we just haven't quite been able to solve or fully resolve yet?
Yeah, I think, all about the value, right, sometimes can be a challenge for people. And there's a reconsideration of value process. It's available when a value isn't as what was expected or desired. So there's a process to go through for that. And that can be, stressful, having to go through that. And then there's the quality control process where revisions, sometimes we have some back and forth questions and things that need to be better defined for underwriters or the lenders. I think those are two major key points. Turn times as of late aren't bad because the volume's a little bit lower than it was. But this is a great time to increase the number of appraisers, bringing new participants into the industry. So I think there's been a lot of movement towards doing that. I don't know how ultimately successful it's been so far, but we definitely need to bring new appraisers into the industry.
Talk to me, what's technology's role in improving, in streamlining? What's kind of worked? Give me a little, background from that perspective.
Right. I think the new 3.6 uniform appraisal data set is really going to help streamline. And we're also moving more towards better inspection tools so that the appraiser is using better tools on site for their inspection versus the old-fashioned measuring tape or laser measurements. They're using smartphones that capture all of the data and create nice floor plans and make things much more efficient and probably less prone to error as well. So there's a lot of technology being integrated. We also use those inspection tools for hybrid appraisals, which can help with capacity in today and in the future, where you have an alternative labor force that can help do some of that data collection, and an appraiser can do an analysis from their desk. So that definitely creates some efficiency also.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because you hear about, a lot of the appraisers are starting to age out of the industry. It's really hard to get new appraisers in. So let's dive a little deeper, because I love what you said of, with some of this technology, you may not need to have an appraiser do some of the footwork, some of the legwork, and then really have the appraiser really as kind of almost how an underwriter sits, right? They're reviewing the file, they're just analyzing it, and they're not the ones running out. So talk to me a little bit about how that works, and is it gaining traction? Are more companies using that model, or is that still, just at the early stages?
So it's not necessarily at the early stages, but I think the adoption has been slower than we would have liked. And a lot of that has to do with your point about appraisers aging out and maybe not wanting to learn something new at this point and change what they've known for so long. And we all know change is really difficult, but these technologies are so wonderful. You can see everything about the property from your desk. In some cases, you can do an entire virtual walkthrough. And so you can zoom in on anything on the property. You see the exterior. You just really have the feel of being at the property, only being able to do that from your desk. And the data points are more sophisticated that are collected as well.
Now, who can do the walkthrough? Is it the person selling their home? They can do it and they have the technology? Does it have to be somebody trained on the technology? Walk me through that.
I think we might see more borrower capabilities in the future, but in today's environment, it's really someone who's been trained from customer service standpoints, who's been background checked, who understands how to use the technology that can go in and perform that inspection and data collection, and then upload that, and it gets provided then to the appraiser. It is important when you send someone into anyone's home to make sure they have the appropriate qualifications and training and ability to do that data collection.
Such a good point, because there are still compliance regulations. There's still, the whole perception of how well is your company doing, the customer service. You don't want just any Joe showing up at it and not being professional and everything else. So you make some excellent points there. I know you consult on valuation. What are some of the areas that you really work with and help lenders the most as you consult with them?
It can be a huge range of things, just from policy, process, advice on systems to build into different processes, especially maybe quality control, training and preparation for this UAD 3.6 change is really top of mind for everyone right now.
Okay, excellent. So we've talked quite a bit about valuation. I know you're a valuation expert, but you have so many skill sets, and I'd be remiss if I didn't dive into a couple more of those, and then we'll come back to valuation as we wind down. But talk to me about the power of connection in social media from a business perspective, and how important do you feel it is?
Oh my gosh, I've learned so much from you, and I'm very grateful for that. But I have made some incredible connections and friends just networking through LinkedIn. We also I partnered with Jason Vonk, and he's with his company called Inspired Leadership, and we run a business book club. And so with the business book club, we've also formed this great group of people. We talk every month and discuss our book, but it's just, we've become friends. And I can't emphasize enough how great a place it is to make really great, long-lasting connections.
Well, I love that. And I think one of the reasons why you do such a good job is how genuine and sincere you are. And you're not trying to sell. When I see your social posts, you're sharing leadership tips, you're sharing quotes. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Man, I haven't heard that one before. Or, oh, I love that quote. I haven't thought of that quote in a while. And you have a way of sharing those insights and kind of breaking down barriers. And I'm sure that's how your book club works as well. People sharing ideas. It's genuine. It's authentic. There's not a hard sell. There's not a sales pitch. There's not making people feel awkward. And I think that's where those genuine relationships, you and I met through social, through LinkedIn. We got to meet in person last year at MBA Annual. And what I have found with digital, when you lean into social, is you can create great friendships. And then once you meet in person, it's like a long lost friend. I mean, you give each other a big hug. You're so excited to see one another because you felt like you know them anyways through all of the interactions you've had on social.
100%. And yes, the posts and the different workshops and business book club and all of those things are really about serving and sharing. It's a passion of mine. So sharing that is just fun. And when people resonate with things or reach out and ask for some advice or just make comments, it's really nice to be able to go back and forth, and that's how those relationships start.
Exactly. And I think one of the other areas that you and I have talked quite a bit about, and I know you're passionate about it, and I'm a big proponent, is leadership. And I think now more than ever, especially in the mortgage industry, whether it's on the valuation side, whether it's on the origination, servicing, default, we are in such a need for strong and ethical leadership. Talk to me about your passion for leadership and kind of how you work with people to develop leaders and maybe some of your best tips.
Well, the leadership is vital, and leaders have to understand that they are there to serve their teams. Clarity, communication, understanding of purpose and why, and those things help to build that initial layer of trust. And when you have trust, you can then have healthy conflict. You can hold each other accountable. All of those things lead to driving results. And so I think it's just super important to remember clarity is kind of number one, that being able to communicate, helping leaders to grow, giving them room to make some mistakes. That's safety, having that safety to know that you can
Right.
make mistakes. And yeah, it starts at the top. And
It does. And I think so many times people have to realize that leadership is not a title.
no,
Right? I mean, just because you have a title doesn't mean that you're a leader. And just because you don't have a title doesn't mean that you can't lead from wherever you're at in the organization. You can be the best version of yourself, whether that's the person holding the door for people and greeting them, or the person all the way up to the CEO. I'm a big fan of John Maxwell, and he's got a phrase, everything rises and falls on leadership. And I think that's so true, not just in our industry, but all industries. If you had to give one tip about, especially that next generation of leaders in our industry, what's one tip of how they can improve their leadership skills, or what's one thing they should really focus on?
listening. It's so important to listen. You can learn so much from other people. You don't ever want to sit down and think, I'm the smartest person in the room, I already know everything, because we never do. I mean, you can constantly learn. I'm reading a book right now, Think Again by Adam Grant, and he talks about rethinking everything and always being open to being challenged, to thinking about something in a different way. And just like if we take boomers and Gen Zs in the same workplace as an example, both can learn so much from each other.
That's right.
We can learn technology from the younger generations to how to be really tech savvy about a lot of different things. And they can learn how to network and talk to people and realize how important it is to look someone in the eye and shake their hand and talk to them. And so I think we can learn so much from each other, but you have to listen. You have to stop and really listen, not superficially, but really pay attention.
Well, and I think that listening is listening to understand, not to respond, right?
Yes. Yes.
So many times we're always listening. So, okay, now I can add my comment. Now I can say this. And instead of really listening to understand that person's perspective, that viewpoint, and like you said, we can learn so much. One of the best leadership tips I've ever gotten was, if you want to really grow and develop as a leader, especially as a young leader, but this applies to all leaders, go take a volunteer position at any organization, any volunteer organization, and take a leadership role there. And the reason it's suggested is because those people don't have to listen to you. And so whether it's at your kid's school, whether it's on for their soccer program, whether it's in the community, whether it's your HOA board or whatever, if you take a leadership role there, you have to learn how to work with all types of people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because they don't have to listen to you. Their paycheck isn't dependent on it. Your title can't make them do something. And if you piss off and offend everybody because you think you have the power, Nothing will get done in a volunteer organization. And I've tried to live that and do that at volunteer organizations. And I guarantee you will learn a ton about leadership in volunteering and doing it when people don't have to listen to you. What do you think about something like that?
No, I completely agree. And that's a really good point. I think it has to do a lot with the energy you show up with. The energy you come with, if it's really, people can tell when you're there, happy to be there, happy to serve, want to connect with them in a genuine way. Not to have, we might have a mission, there might be a goal, things to achieve, but you'll get to that once you have everyone working together in a way that they want to, right? You want people to want to do certain things,
That's right.
not to dictate that they have to. And when you can get to that point, then you've got a great team or great teamwork.
Absolutely. And Cindy, you and I could talk about this topic forever, whether it's mortgage, whether it's valuation, leadership is critical. And I think more than anything now, it's how do we start training that next generation of leaders in this space? It's absolutely critical. If people want to find out more about all of the incredible things you're doing, how you consult on valuation, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
So, through LinkedIn is one, of course. And then they can also reach me at cindy@peoplemm.com.
I love it. Cindy, you are welcome back anytime, my friend. It's always great catching up with you. I can't thank you enough for being a guest on this episode of the FinTech Hunting Podcast.
Well, thank you very much.